Auke Hoekstra. Everybody's talking about trucks at EVS 35, and there's a lot of attention, and all the people are going to sessions which are about trucks. You just gave a presentation about it. What is the gist of your presentation? What's the gist of your point?
My most important point is that we should switch from basically refurbished trucks, which we are buying now, to really new trucks. And basically the two things that make a truck really new is, first of all, don't use the leather frame, the old-fashioned leather frame, but use a structural battery instead of a frame. That really saves a lot of weight and gives you much more space for the battery. And the second thing is, don't put a big motor in the front and then guide it to all the wheels. Just give each wheel its own motor, or maybe two wheels, in between the wheels, a motor. That way you save an enormous amount of weight and mechanics that you have to maintain, etc. And these things are really straightforward when you think about it and when you look at cars, because they already made this transition. Exactly the same thing I'm describing is what's normal in new cars. But trucks, almost all the trucks we see still use basically are old-fashioned, are like a roadster of Tesla instead of the new models.
Yeah. And then we have to be happy that they come at all. You know, Volvo and Scania are now coming with trucks, and they are basically refurbished from an old design. So that means if you say that's the kind of truck which should be from the ground up, 5 years, 10 years, how long will that be?
I think that the truck that Daimler promises this year, probably going to be delivered in at least somewhat larger numbers next year, is a good candidate. And the Tesla truck, the Tesla Semi, was promised in 2019, I think, for the first time, but now is really promised next year. And I think then people are going to wake up and say, oh wait, this is really happening. And then 5 years, 3 years, 4 years from then, we will see, I think, a lot of those.
So 2030, we'll have a bunch of choices from the OEMs.
I think it will go a little bit faster than that, because I think in 2030, if you still buy a diesel truck, you have basically a big problem with your business case. You basically cannot make a profit anymore. So I think by 2030, a lot of companies have to work really hard, because if you still want to sell diesel trucks by then, you have a really big problem as an OEM. And as a fleet owner, if you buy them, you simply don't have a business case. You cannot compete, I think, with electric trucks. So
when will this, talk about the business case, when will the business case for the electric truck be positive?
As I said in my presentation, if you build this new truck right now, you would have in Europe a very positive business case. In the United States it takes a little bit longer because diesel is so cheap there compared to Europe. But in Europe, with the high price of diesel, and by the way we have a 2-ton extra allowance for trucks, and we have a bunch of extra policy incentives that also help to make a truck more easy on your business case. I would say the first one who comes out with a really refurbished truck, even if it's like 3 times the price, doesn't matter for your TCO.
Still 3 times the price, you can have a positive TCO?
Yes.
Okay. And why is that? Because electricity is also very expensive now.
Very simple. I did some calculations, and even if both the diesel truck and the electric truck get more efficient all the time, there's always going to be a gap of around 2 kilowatt hours per kilometer in energy use. And these 2 kilowatt hours per kilometer cost money. And in the end, for example, if you have electricity at 14 cents per kilowatt hour, and if you have diesel at €1.40 per kilowatt hour, per liter. Times 14 cents, more or less, that you gain. And if you then drive, let's say, 150,000 kilometers every year, then it's 150,000 times 30 cents. That's a lot of money. How much is that?
45,000.
Every year.
Every year. Yeah. And what about the range of the trucks? What do you expect? I mean, I saw now the truck from Scania has 600 kilowatt hour, but there's also 450 kilowatt hour. What kind of range are we looking at?
Yeah, I think it's very important to bring out a truck that has a range that can do the full day, because I think for most fleet owners it's simply a hassle to find some way to charge during the day, maybe a fast charger somewhere, which will be expensive and probably not there yet. So I think the best business case will be for trucks who can simply drive the entire day and then charge cheaply overnight on the depot. That's actually what most trucks do. They come home every day after driving a maximum of about 750 kilometers. So I actually think that a truck with that range, guaranteed, so you have to put a little bit extra battery in for battery wear. And
how much kilowatt hour is that?
In my calculations, that's about 1.1 megawatt hour. But you could also have a pretty good business case already when you have a range of, let's say, 600 kilometers, which probably be like 750. Now it's 900 kilowatt hours or something.
Yeah. So those are still a lot bigger than are available to now. And you are very optimistic. You have always the reality in your numbers. But if you and I had that vision too. But I am just appalled how long everything takes, Auke. Aren't you way too optimistic about the speed that this industry can move?
That could be. My timelines could be a little bit too optimistic. Then again, we also saw this with electric cars, where the timelines were also in the end a lot more optimistic than most people thought. So, and in this case, I mean, the biggest development that you need basically is battery development.
Yes.
That's already being done by electric cars. So basically, you need exactly the same technology but scaled up a little bit. You can even, the Tesla Semi even uses the same motors that they sort of borrowed from the Model 3, just a little bit more, just a couple of them. But I think it can go a lot faster. And also designing a truck is actually, sorry to say, not that hard. In a way, for example, the Aptera, you know that car? In the end it went bankrupt because they had to build in niceties like moving windows, etc. It's those little niceties that make a car sort of shine that are actually hardest to build when you already have a drivetrain, you already have the battery, etc. So for trucks, basically put on the old cab, just make a structural battery and a new drivetrain. It's not rocket science actually.
Okay, so we'll see in 3 years when we have EVS again here in the Nordics or in Europe. We'll see where they are now. Thank you very much, Auke.
I really think in 3 years from now, we will see a couple of those revamped, really modern trucks on the road, at least a couple of thousand, and then really the tone will completely change to people saying, yes, of course this is the future, but we need so many months, so many years to do that, instead of it's hard and maybe in the far future.
Yeah. And do you think it will be the traditional OEMs, the Volvos, the Scania, etc., or will it be new players?
I think Tesla is a little bit ahead of the game. Nikola, for example, who went bankrupt, also had the modern design, but hadn't done so much, I think, from what I've seen. But Daimler coming out with their modern truck.
That's a modern truck.
Yeah, also gave me like, okay. Something's happening there.
When's that coming to the market?
2023.
Okay. Next year we'll have a real, from the ground up built truck from Daimler. That should be interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Auke.
Welcome.